Hello and welcome to 50 State Sports Update, Arkansas Edition. I'm your host, Carl Mogline. On this episode, we'll be talking about everything in Arkansas sports, and we're going to start by talking about some of the people from Arkansas who are big names in sports, starting with pitcher A.J. Burnett, and he pitches for the Pittsburgh Pirates. You also have Drew Smiley, who's a left-handed pitcher for the Detroit Tigers, bouncing between their bullpen and their starting pitcher, but he's a young guy. Darren McFadden, who's the running back for the Oakland Raiders currently. Paul Bear Bryant, the former Alabama coach. Overall, his record was an outstanding 323 wins to just 85 losses and 17 ties. That is an outstanding record for him as a head coach, and he has 6 national championships. Then you have Derek Fisher, point guard for the Oklahoma City Thunder, and he's a former Laker. He's just about to be the new point guard for OKC. Torrey Hunter, the outfielder, who's currently with the Detroit Tigers, but was formerly with the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, as well as the Minnesota Twins. His highlight of his career was the 9 straight Golden Gloves he earned. Peyton Hillis, Tampa Bay running back, and then you got Cliff Lee, the left-handed pitcher currently with the Phillies, who won the 2008 AL Cy Young Award when he was with Cleveland, and Scottie Pippen, the former Chicago Bulls small forward. He's a Hall of Famer, one of the greatest players to ever play the game. He also came out of Arkansas, and he was actually a walk-on at Central Arkansas, which is now competing in what is the FCS division or something like that, Division I AA. He was a walk-on at Central Arkansas. He came there as 6'2". He grew to 6'7", and didn't lose his starting job after that. Started 3 years there before he was drafted into the NBA and played for the Bulls. All right, but now we're going to start off with the two pro teams, but they're both minor league baseball teams they're both in the Texas League and AA teams. I'll talk about them now. Arkansas Travelers are the first one. They're based in Little Rock. They were founded in 1963, and they're an Angels affiliate since 2001. Previously, they started with the Philadelphia Phillies in 1963 to 65, and had a very long term with the St. Louis Cardinals, from 66 to 2000. They were with the Cardinals, but now they are with the Angels. They won a division title in 2008, but oddly enough, they have won a total of 7 league titles, even though they've only won one division title, which is absolutely outstanding. Their last division title was in 2008, and that was the year they won their last title as well. This is the Texas League, by the way. This year so far, they're 20-17, and they're one game behind the team I'm going to talk about next, the Northwest Arkansas Naturals, and that they are both in the North Division. As I said, these teams are all in the Texas League. The Naturals are based in Springdale, Arkansas. They're a Kansas City affiliate, and they've been that way since 95, and they were a former Padre affiliate. The franchise moved in 1976. It was founded in 1976 as the Amarillo Gold Sox. They moved to Arkansas in 2008 after going through a couple places, including Wichita, Kansas, and they have minor league titles. They have 0 minor league... They have 4 minor league titles. To go with that, they also have 10 division titles. Most recently, they won their division and the league title in 2010. They currently lead the North Division with a 21-16 record. Now we will move on to the 3 colleges currently playing in the FBS level of play, starting with Arkansas State, currently located in Jonesboro, Arkansas. They are a member of the Sun Belt Conference. They play 16 varsity teams. 7 of those are in men's sports, 9 are in women's, and their nickname, not the Red Wolves for a while, it was actually the Indians until 2008 when they had a vote and they became the Red Wolves. They first fielded football in 1911, and from 37 until 53, they competed as a member of the National Junior College Athletic Association, and they moved to the NCAA in 1953 and played in the small college division, now known as Division II. They won a national championship in that division in 1970, and they moved to the Division I in 1975. That year they went undefeated, going 11-0, and they were one of only 2 undefeated Division I football teams that year. They're one of only 4 institutions to have gone undefeated and not won a national championship at the Division 1A level, and basically they were in a conference where they didn't have a bowl game connected to the conference because it just moved up to Division 1 with their conference. So they ended up 11-0 with no bowl game to go to, and because of that, it was the Southland Conference, and as a result of this, the Independence Bowl was created. Though Arkansas State has never played in that game, it was created because of that. And Arkansas State joined the Sun Belt in 2001, and they played in the FCS until 2005. But then the Sun Belt as a conference moved into the FBS. They had 10 conference championships so far, 7 in the Southland and 3 in the Sun Belt. Last year, they were 10-3 overall and 7-1 conference. They were the Sun Belt champs, and they finished the game on an 8-game win streak, only 1 loss to an unranked opponent. That was Western Kentucky. Previously, they had lost to Nebraska and Oregon. Oregon, in their game, was on pace for, I believe, over 100 points before halftime. That was the first game of the season for them. But after that, they were absolutely incredible. They had that one bad game, and then they also lost to Nebraska and Western Kentucky. An odd loss for them because Western Kentucky was only 77-6, but it was a very good season for them last year. They ended up the season by beating Kent State 17-13 in the GoDaddy.com Bowl. Kent State was the second team in the MAC behind, of course, Northern Illinois, who was playing in a BCS Bowl that year. All right, moving on to basketball for Arkansas State. They made one Division I tournament. That was in 1999. They lost to Utah in the first round. They were the 15 seed. And this last year, they did have a pretty good season. They were 19-12 and 12-8 in conference, but they were not selected for tournament play in that year. All right, then you have our next college going through Arkansas. We're going to talk about the Arkansas Little Rock Trojans. The Trojans are a non-football member of the Sun Belt, the same conference as Arkansas State. The university offers 6 men's sports and 9 women's sports. We're going to start with basketball. This team has had some actual somewhat of success. They've won one Division I basketball tournament game, and that was a game in 1986 in their first NCAA tournament where they beat Lou Holtz's Notre Dame 90-83. They ended up losing in the second round in overtime to NC State 66-80. But after that, this program was never the same. They made multiple NITs after that and were selected for those, as well as in the first, they made it to the 1989 tournament and 1990 tournament, losing in both tournaments in the first round. And then recently in 2011, they made their first tournament since then, losing to UNC Asheville 77-81 in overtime, and that was a first 4 game versus the 2-16 seeds of that year. This last year, they were 17-15, 11-9 in Sun Belt, but as was the case with Arkansas State, they were not selected for postseason play. We move on to the baseball team. For them, they have one NCAA tournament in 2011. Then they have conference tournament champions in the Sun Belt in 2011 as well. So that's how they got into the tournament. It was an automatic bid. But this recent season was not successful for them. 13-17, not good for Little Rock. But now we're going to move on to the biggest school in Arkansas, the only one in a BCS conference currently. This is the Arkansas Razorbacks. They currently field 19 total varsity teams, 8 of which are men's and 11 women's team, and they compete in 13 different sports. This has been a trend I've been seeing in many different schools, where actually there are more women's teams playing in things, and we're going to start on the Arkansas Razorbacks football team. They first played in 1894, and they claimed a national title in 64, and then conference titles. They've had 13 conference titles, but they have all been in the Southwest Conference. They never made the SEC championship. They've made it to the game. They've won the SEC West, but they've never made it to the actual championship game, which is actually really disappointing. This team has been quite good for many years, having beat Alabama before, and of course, quarterback Tyler Mallett was a recent quarterback coming out of there who was very good. But it really has not been they've been not exactly flailing in those games, but they've only been to 4 championship games, and they've lost them all, and they weren't always very close in a way, I would say. But, of course, now going back and looking at this 2012 season, it was extraordinarily disappointing. 4-8, 2-6 in conference, did not make a bowl game. We're not bowl eligible. Extraordinarily surprising and kind of sad. Of course, Bobby Petrino being fired for his conduct being with a staffer in Arkansas. It was a very interesting situation, but he was let go. He was replaced by John L. Smith, and it all went downhill after the Bobby Petrino stuff. They won their first game. They were originally ranked 10th. They moved up to 8th. Their first game, they were playing Jacksonville State, who is an FCS team. They handled it pretty easily, but then their next game, they lost to Louisiana Monroe 31-34 in overtime, and that was the beginning of a great rise for Louisiana Monroe, who had a good season, a great season by their standards. But then you look at and then they lost to Alabama. Arkansas did 52-0 after losing to Rutgers and Texas A&M. They finally won 2 in a row at Auburn and Kentucky, 2 very weak teams. Then they lost to Ole Miss. They beat Tulsa, which was their homecoming game, but then they lost their next 3 games: South Carolina, Mississippi State, and LSU. Most of these games were not close, although they did get it pretty close with LSU. After that, that was their last game, and they have now hired Coach Brett Bielema. He used to be Wisconsin's head coach. He's now going to this SEC school, and he's saying he's going to do some great things with them. We'll see how that goes out. All right, now we're going to talk about the basketball team of Arkansas. They first had a team in 1924. They have 24 conference championships and 29 NCAA tournament appearances. They have 6 Final Fours, and in this team, a very, very good team. 6 Final Fours. They've been runner-up once. That was in 95, and they have 1 championship in 94. They were the number 1 seed in their region. They beat the number 2 seed, Duke, 76-72 in the championship game. This is still very well remembered. This is 30 years after the football team had won their national championship. So it's kind of a more, I don't know. But those are actually the only 2 national championships in sports other than running, but I will talk about that later. This team was in 2012-2013 was 19-13, 10-8, but they did not make any postseason tournaments. Look to be on the rise currently. I believe Arkansas has a team that will be getting better. Then you talk about their baseball team, which has been very successful as well. 25 NCAA tournaments. Most recently, 2013, they have 7 College World Series. They made the 2012 one. 2013 team was 39-22, 18-11, but they did lose to Kansas State in regional play. They finished 18th in the coaches poll, so a top 20 team. Very good. Look to have a bright future ahead of them. So this is definitely one of their better programs in the school, although they have yet to win a national championship. Right, this school has 43 national championships in all sports, but 41 of those are in track and field, 11 cross country, 10 outdoor, and a whopping 20 indoor track titles, and these are all in men's sports. They have not won a single championship in all of their women's sports. I find that odd, to be blunt. They have 2 national championships that are not in these running sports, and that is in, of course, football and basketball. But recent, of course, those are not very recent. 94, the most recent time, almost 20 years ago, that they won championship at anything other than a running event. It's definitely not the thing you think about when you think about Arkansas and a BCS level team not doing that. That's actually incredibly surprising, but that's the truth of this Arkansas team. And, of course, they are the only BCS team in this state. And we'll see what happens. Their football team looks to be on the downfall, but their basketball team and their baseball team look to be hope for this team. And this state, which is a very University of Arkansas heavy state, we'll see how it goes. Their minor league baseball teams are doing well, so they got that going for them. And this has been Carl Mogline on 50 State Sports Update. This has been Arkansas Edition. I will see you next time with the longest show I'm going to do, and it's on California. Wait till you see all over 20 teams I'm going to talk about on the next edition of 50 State Sports Update. I'm Carl Mogline. Please watch next time and like us on Facebook. Same thing, look up 50 State Sports Update. Please like us. You can look at, and I'll be posting every single episode so you can keep updated on that. Please like that. Please follow me on Twitter, Carl with a K _PM, Carl _PM on Twitter. 50 State Sports Update. See you next time. California, tons of teams. Carl Mogline, thank you.